I am very glad to be here this afternoon. This is such a wonderful location, not just for the physical beauty of this campus, but for the tremendous historic significance of the statue that we are sitting in front of now. I am here, as Ron Scott has indicated, representing a group of people who have come to Greensboro to work on and to develop and to shape the beginning of a new organization, which in many ways is a historic organization because it is the first time in this country that people from movements of all kinds have come together, in many cases after 20, 40, 60 years of organizing for the creation of a more perfect union and for the creation of a better America. I want to read to you what we've been saying in this press statement that's been shared with you. 25 leaders of the defining movements of the 20th century are announcing today the founding of the National Council of Elders. Reverend James Lawson, who along with myself and with his beloved brother, Reverend Phil Lawson, began the impetus towards this direction. Jim Lawson is quoted here to give us some sense of the reason that we formed the organization and the reason that we've come here. Lawson said, "We assembled here in Greensboro because of its historic significance in the freedom movement of the last century and the building of the beloved community today." Lawson stated further, "It is our desire to come together to help transform this divided nation where all of us, regardless of race, color, religion, class, sexual orientation, or gender, where all of us can live together in peace." The National Council of Elders plans to offer whatever we can of the wisdom that we have been blessed to be able to gain over the years of our activism, and to provide some help and focus to those who are now involved in the struggles of the 21st century. We are making this announcement after a number of months, more than a year actually, of planning, which has brought response from many individuals and organizations throughout the country, including a very special connection that we've had with the Occupy movement. We are trying, like them, like elders from other times, to address the economic and social crisis that exists now in the United States and in the world today. We represent, and listen to this math, the veterans who are here today represent more than 1,250 years of organizing. I know we don't look like it, but it is true. It is true. We are glad to be here. I am personally glad to be with my sisters on either side, who I have known for many, many years and worked with for many, many years. And I'd like you to have a chance to hear from them as well. Dolores Huerta on my left, Joyce Johnson on my right. Dolores from the movements of the Southwest, especially of the movement among the immigrants, among the dream keepers. Joyce, you know, here in Greensboro, North Carolina, at the beloved Community Center. Sisters, please say what you would like to say.
Dolores.
Well, my name is Dolores Huerta, and I just want to call attention to something that you may not have noticed. I am wearing the Medal of Freedom. This was awarded to me by President Obama. It's the highest civilian honor that any citizen in the United States can receive.
Good.
And I want to say that I am so proud to be here with all of these leaders of the civil rights movement that, you know, fought so hard for all of the advances that were made here in the South to end Jim Crow, to get the right to vote, the many sacrifices that people made, the statue that we sit in front of. And this freedom, Medal of Freedom medal could really be and is deserved by everybody that's here in this audience, everybody that is here. These are people that have fought for the rights of people here in our United States of America to make it a better place. By bringing all of us together in our Council of Elders that we are now announcing, we are really bringing not only our experience that we have had in building movements here in the United States, justice movements, movements for social change, but we are also announcing to the world that we are, all of us, coming together. So often we have had to, you know, be in our separate silos in terms of our movements, but we know that the economic and the social crisis that we have in our country today, it's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to mean that all of us have to give all that we can and to bring all of our movements together to be able to get the justice that we need, the economic justice and the social justice. Because although the people here fought for so hard and so long to be able to make some really positive changes in the lives of people here in our country, we know we still have a long way to go. Right. And so I am very, very honored to be part of the Council of Elders. And I know that we're going to be able to take it to the next step, not only by bringing our experience to those young people that are asking us, you know, that are reaching out to us, how did you do it? How did you form that civil rights movement in the South? You know, tell us how you did it. We want to share our experience with them, but we also want to learn from them in terms of the movements that they are building in our country. So I think that we're all going to see just such a great experience that's going to be coming from the Council of Elders and the work that we will be doing in the future here in our country. Yes, we can. Si se puede.
Thank you. Si se puede. Sister Joyce?
I join with Dolores and Vincent and others in just saying how elated I am to be a part of this formation. And we just are all blessed to be alive, to share those lessons with the coming generation. I shouldn't say coming, the existing, the current generation. And not just to share our lessons, but also to join our feet and hands with them to be a part of the possibilities that this new century offers to us. And the possibility of greater democracy, a really greater humanity that we're all being called to. We're just excited about that. But as Beloved Community Center, we're just honored to be the hosts here today, and you see both our elders and our younger members of Beloved here. and to join with my brothers and sisters who come from the women's movement, LGBTQT, anti-war movement, the labor movement, those various momentum for racial and ethnic justice, Latino, African American, Asian American, certainly Native American. So we're just all happy to be here today, and we hope, in fact, we have committed to, we have prayed about our gathering as the National Council of Elders, serving as a model that we can and we must stand together. That each and every one of the movements, some of which I have not named, may not know about, is stronger. Each is stronger if we stand together, those of us who are searching for a better humanity and a greater democracy in our country and beyond. So thank you for being here today with us. And perhaps there are questions that those of you from the formal media, but also we are of the people, so if elders have questions, we'd also welcome those.
Or even if it's just priorities, next steps, that kind of
yeah. And I really invite some of my fellow elders to respond to this. Excuse me. A key thing I mentioned a little bit already, that is really grasping what have we learned and understanding, appreciating that as elders, and sharing that. That is not often cherished enough in our society in particular, but sometimes in other places as well. But also providing the opportunity to nurture and work with the emerging movements of this period. And I'll just stop right there, and it looks like Sister Dorothy Cotton, who was one of the first women who was really in the active leadership in SCLC, wants to say something.
I realize as I have a booming voice, so I hardly need it.
Just move over here, Dorothy. Just move over here.
She wants me to move.
She can't really move very well over there.
Can you? Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah, as I move around the country, and I especially focus in this moment on campuses, high school and colleges, and I'm really surprised, but starting not to be surprised because I get it so much, and that is a lot of misunderstandings in terms of who has the power, the wisdom, who can take the initiative to take some actions that can bring about positive change. And people think of the folk that they've read about, you know, even Dr. King, go back to, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln, whoever, we can go back as far in the history as we want to, but I have a sense that these people never seem like ordinary, real human beings to people, to young people. In other words, I see you bowing your head, you get the point. People think that they sort of fell out of the sky doing great things, but I'm putting forth my interpretation and my understanding that the people were ordinary people. In other words, they too can leave great footprints on the sands of time.
Yes.
By seeing what's not working right and deciding to put their energy into that, and not think of, you know, Dr. King or anybody that we read about as people who are not ordinary human beings. And I talk about specifics like why was Dr. King able to bring the leadership that he brought? It's everything from the fact that he studied and that he had a good time. He had a fantastic sense of humor, and but people don't realize that. They just hear him making the great speeches, which he certainly could do, as we all know. But he was a youngster who was naughty on the college campuses like a lot of boys, but he studied. And so I want people to know that, yeah, the philosophers and theologians, and he could quote them without looking at any notes. And I want the younger generation to understand that, therefore, you know, you too can leave great footprints on the sands of time, as the poetic sign goes.
Amen. All right. Arthur, you want to pass this? You have to have a... Wait just a minute.
Okay. I'm Rabbi Arthur Wasko. I'm director of the Shalom Center. I live in Philadelphia. And one example of what we might continue doing with the emerging movements of the 21st century comes from what we did do with the Occupy movements this past November, where 5 different groups of elders went to 5 different cities to meet with, to listen to share concerns with the young folks in their 20s and 30s who we were nervous about in the beginning. Did they really want to hear from these old folks? And in fact, they greeted us with incredible warmth and desire. They wanted to hear the stories, the ways we had changed America and the ways we had failed to change America. They wanted to hear that. In one place in New York, with young people who everybody said they're not interested in religion, they think churches and synagogues and mosques are boring and stupid. We actually created, on the spot, we created a multi-religious service that had them moved and deeply moved, crying and shouting out and joining. And it was clear it wasn't religion and spirituality that they hated boredom. And we weren't boring, and they were ready to respond. So those are examples of what we might, and I'm sure will, be doing as we move on.
Okay.
Travis, one of the major purposes that we have as a Council of Elders is to remember what human beings have done over the centuries when we've been at our best. And that is, the elders have always found a way to join hands with the younger people so that our wisdom, their strength, their courage, our experience can join together to create a better world than the one that we have. So that would be one of the major tasks that we see for ourselves, Travis, as we go on in this work over the years to come.
Brother Jim.
One other thing is that we always have to remind everyone, especially the young people, of course they have the movements now, the Do Not Kids, the Occupy, that, you know, change always comes from the bottom. You know, the change that came about in terms of the civil rights movement came from the young people then that went out there and they did all of the work that they did. The farm worker movement, it's the same thing. It was the farm workers themselves that went out there and they went on strike, went on marches, went on boycotts to make things happen. And so we are the living examples that the people, the ordinary people, are the ones that make the changes in our United States of America. And so we are the living reminders and the living examples, and so that people do not despair, and so that they don't think, well, no, we can't do anything, we can't change what's wrong in our country. No, they need to know, yes, we are the ones that do have the power to make the changes, and we are the proof of that, just with our living examples.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Kim?
And we as elders of movements of the 20th century also want to continue to insist that nonviolent direct action that empowers ordinary people to do courageous and extraordinary things is the journey, is the way that we can accomplish change in the United States. We are a very violent society. The numbers of deaths from injury in the workplace, or like the Aurora, Colorado incident, or in some of the streets of our times, or the suicides, or the hammering away against young, especially young gay men and women, those deaths that have increased across the last 20 years. And we are here to insist to the nation as a whole, especially to the power structures and to the nation at wars, that these wars, this violence, the domestic violence, cannot produce either better people or a better society, will not create justice or the beloved community anywhere in our land. That the elders' very presence is a call to the nation to give up the hatred of speech and the despising of people.
That's right.
To have public discourse such as I have never known in my 80 years living in the United States, in which all kinds of people are being excoriated by public commentators. That does not bless the American people and does not help any kind of a community conversation that helps us to be the best we can be. So one of the principles is that we must help to encourage movements of nonviolent direct action, of creative courage, and of power, because this is the only way our history can be transformed.
Yes.
Okay, Mel White will take our last question or comment.
My name is Mel White. I'm with Soul Force. And what is historic about this moment for me is that the great leaders of the civil rights justice movements are saying gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people are welcome here, when so many of their churches still reject and condemn us. They have said, gay people are God's children too. You have a cause for justice and freedom in your own lives, and just to be here with this crowd of people who are saying to God's gay children, we want you as a part of this movement, that is thrilling to me. And to all the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people out there watching can say, are you kidding me? All these religious people want us in their midst, and I'm saying, they're saying, yes.
Yes, we must.
Yes, we must.
I want to reiterate this because it's so important in North Carolina and elsewhere that in the sight of God, gay people, immigrant people are all in the sight of God, God's children, legal people. There is no such thing as a baby born undocumented by the Creator, who is in our historical document of the Declaration of Independence. And it is time for us to begin to demand a political process, an economic process, and a society where every boy, every girl in all 50 states, in every community, will have access to what in my tradition we call the tree of life. Access to education, access to justice, access to health care, access to shelter, access to the possibility that they represent the next Jackie Robinson or the next Albert Einstein or the next Toscanini or the next astronomer,
Barack Obama.
The next Barack Obama.
Okay. Well, you know, we have one last minister to speak, but he's more than a minister. He's, in fact, a freedom fighter. And all of you here in Greensboro know him. And that's Nelson Johnson. And he wanted to make a statement, and I hope he would maybe close us out with a prayer that reflects why we're here.
Thank you. The first question that was asked is, what are some examples of what this great body will do? I think our presence is an example. On my right is my new friend Mel White. And I have learned so much from him in terms of what he has endured and what he stands for and what he's fighting for. And on my left is my good friend Baltimore Velasquez, who is the only union president that I know who's ever been down into the tobacco fields and worked side by side with immigrant brothers and sisters, brothers from other countries. And it is the very coming together of these streamlets that is so necessary now. And who best can invite us together than those who have borne the heat of the day over the last 50 years. And so we believe that as this group comes together, we will represent a kind of tenacity and authority that will help the American people discover the best in ourselves. It's been a simple joy to be a part of this gathering, to learn from brothers and sisters all over the nation, and to spread this spirit of possibility that we have so much to do, and we want to connect with the young generation and connect with all the different streamlets, and that's when our nation can be great. That's when we can do things that we can't quite imagine right now, and that is to live into a higher level of our humanity. And it is that very spirit that calls us together. So we're enormously grateful for what God has allowed us to do in the past, but you know, the past is part of equipping for the future, and we ain't no ways tired yet. We're ready to run on to see what the end is going to be.
Si se puede.
I wish, I guess it wouldn't be a fitting close to this, Bernice, unless you did something else.
That's right.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. Gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, walking on the freedom.